Hi, Paul. Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. First up, thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. So, again, thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. And before we start, I'd like to introduce yourself to our listeners today, and then we can get right into the conversation.
Okay, cool. My name is Paul Wilson. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am a hypnotherapist and a coach, but I also train, teach, coach, and mentor other hypnotherapists as well as having a private practice.
Oh my God. That's like music to my ears because I have just left my 9 to 5 and venturing into hypnotherapy and coaching as well. So a lot to unpack, Paul.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, I took a massive leap into the dark. I spent 25 years in a corporate world, and then this was in 2017, in October 2017, I had an accident. I fell off my bicycle on the way to work, and I broke my arm either side of my elbow. And so I
Uh-huh.
was signed off for 6 weeks. I'm sitting at home. I can't do anything because I'm right-handed. I'm thinking, should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? 25 years is a good time, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the 6 weeks, I still hadn't made my mind up. So I went back to work. And you know what it's like after a long absence? I'm fighting my way through all the emails and the posts and
Yeah.
trying to get into my office. And the head of HR, Nick, walks past my office and goes, "Hey, Paul, how's the arm?" And I went, "Hey, great, Nick." And I don't know where this next bit came from, but I said, "Have you got a minute?" And he, yeah, come round to the office. Long story short, I went to have a chat with him. And about 6, 7 weeks later, on the exact date of my 25th anniversary with the organization, I was out. And I took a massive leap into the dark at age 57.
Wow. Wow. What an incredible journey so far. So it's 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 7 years then.
Well, kind of 6 years, because 2018, I was back end of 2017. My anniversary was December the 1st, 2017. So
Wow.
2018, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because my passion is photography. And I thought, I know
Right.
what, I'll become a professional photographer. And I
Uh-huh.
kind of did things the wrong way around because I did my research. Instead of before leaving the job, I did my research after leaving the job. And I went and talked to all these people that had been in the industry 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And they all said the same thing. "Paul, do you love taking photographs? Are you passionate about it?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Don't become a professional photographer because, you'll be working for peanuts and you'll hate it after a week." I went, "Oh, God, now what I'm going
Oh
to
my
do?"
God. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this wasn't such a good idea, was it, Paul? And so I'd taken on a personal trainer because I was a bit tubby and I wanted to lose some weight and put on some muscle. And then one day we were working out and he said to me, "Are you free this weekend, Paul?" I went, "Yeah, sure, I've got nothing planned." He said, "Look, me and my wife, we're hypnotherapists and we're doing like a try before you buy weekend. Why don't you come along? You're a client, so it'll be free." Okay, cool. Anyway, so I went along and I ended up working with this lady who had a fear of snakes and creepy crawlies. Now, in the UK, it's not really logical to be afraid of snakes because there pretty much aren't any.
Like how
There's
often do
one,
you encounter them?
you can win the lottery 3 days in a row and get struck by lightning 3 days in a row and still have more chance of, not seeing a snake. So
Okay.
there's only one venomous snake. They're called adders, and they're really rare. It's very hard, they're very shy creatures. So it's extremely unlikely you're going to encounter one, but people still have this irrational fear. So anyway, I was doing the work and with my phone. So I had my phone and I said, "I'm going to show you a picture of a snake." She said, "No, no, no." She started crying and all this kind of stuff. So we did the work together. And at the end of doing the work, I said, "Okay, I'm going to show you a video of a snake this time." She went, "Okay, cool." And I turned my phone around and I showed her this picture of a snake. And like, "Yeah, that's fine. No problem. No big deal. That's really cool. Thank you so much, Paul. Bye-bye." I went, "Well, that was really cool." But it didn't kind of do anything for me. But the next day, her and her family go for a walk in the local woods. And husband thinks he's Steven Spielberg. So, he's videoing everything and all that kind of stuff. And they're walking along this pathway and you can hear the husband go, "Darling, you better take a detour because look, there's a massive worm in your path." And she says, "No, no, it's okay." And she gets on her hands and knees and she very, very gently scoops this worm up in her hands and carries it across to a patch of
Wait,
grass
what?
and lays it on the patch of grass. Her husband launches a stream of expletives because he can't believe what he's seen. He almost drops his phone, and I'm going, wow, I've got a superpower. So I went back to the guy that trained me. He said, okay, who trained you? I went and worked with him. Who trained you? And I went as far up the ladder as I possibly could. And I read every book, took every course, and I just absolutely fell in love with hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Absolutely brilliant. It's a wonderful, wonderful, amazing tool.
Wow, I am blown away. I'm speechless. Paul. You basically gave the whole rundown as to why people should not fear hypnosis at all, and at least they should experience hypnosis or hypnotherapy once in their life.
With a good hypnotherapist. That's
With
the
a
only
good
caveat.
hypnotherapist. Yes,
Because
yes.
the big problem is there are a lot of people out there that do the training, but, that it's not important to them. They've got a significant other that's paying all the bills, or they've got a full-time job that pays all the bills. So there's no real need or desire for them to go out and get lots and lots of clients. Me, I'm a professional hypnotherapist. This is all I do. So if I don't see clients, I don't eat. Yeah. So I see lots
Yeah,
and lots of people on a regular basis.
right.
And so you need to see someone that knows what they're talking about, has experience, and can actually help you. You can read their testimonials, talk to them beforehand, all that kind of thing. But yeah, hypnosis done properly is a magical tool, pretty much. It can change things beyond your wildest beliefs.
And now I just had a question when you were saying those things just now. Does meeting your clients drain your energy? First things first. How do you
Yeah,
manage
absolutely.
that? Yeah,
Okay. So I charge a very high fee because I do things differently to most of the hypnotherapists. I will only see 2 clients a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And that's for 2 or 3 reasons. First reason is I'm not watching the clock. I'm not saying, okay, that's your hour up, off you go, I've got another client coming in.
that's
I
right.
work with clients so that if we need an hour, fine. If we need 90 minutes, not a problem. If we need 2 hours, okay. Yeah, not often that we need the 2 hours, but I need my clients to be relaxed and comfortable so they're not worrying about going to their next meeting or a delivery expected, all that kind of thing. Second reason is, Nick, like you just mentioned, I spend a lot of time and effort and energy focusing in on my client, really listening intently to what they're saying and watching their body language, their facial manipulations, and all this kind of good stuff. And that takes a lot of effort. I could not do that 10 times a day. So that's why I only see 2 people a day maximum, because I'd just be exhausted, you know?
Yeah.
And the third reason is I want to be able to hone my skills. I want to be able to improve my ability to help people every single day. So I run practice sessions with other hypnotherapists. I read lots of stuff on, neuroscience and psychology, hypnosis, all kinds of to help me help my clients better.
I love that. And can you share with us how do you help hypnotherapists? Like, what is this business of yours besides like doing hypnotherapy?
Okay, there's a couple of things. First of all, a lot of hypnotherapists don't actually practice their art very well. Let me give you an example. In the particular system that I use, I trained with a guy that lives out in Australia. And so, he's like 10 hours ahead of us. He ran this course. It was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, his time. So it's like in the middle of the night, my time. And on the last day of the course, it's like about 3:30 in the morning. We've done all the training. We've finished. And you can see he's exhausted. He just wants to go to bed and relax after 3 days of training. And he says, okay, any questions? You can see he's exhausted. He goes, any questions? And then somebody in the audience goes, what do we do now? And you can see the look on his face. God, what a stupid question. He didn't say that. So he said, go and do 150 practice sessions. And I mean, wow. So anyway, I went to bed. Next morning, I got up at about 11 o'clock, and this number, 150, oh, it's sitting there. You know what? I'm going to do it. So it's called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. So I'm going to do this. So I cleared my
Yeah.
calendar, BHAG. I cleared my schedule. I got my calendar link, and I opened it up from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week, because there are people all over the world that have trained in this particular modality. And then I went into the groups and said, okay, let's do it. Let's practice. I want to do 150 practice sessions when most people will do 3, 4, maybe 5, occasionally 10. And I ended up in 2.5 months, I did 164 practice sessions, more than 300 hours of practice. And that was phenomenal because every single issue you could possibly imagine, everything, crying, laughing, people throwing up, people getting angry, all kinds of emotional responses to the work that we were doing together. There's pretty much nothing I haven't seen right now. And it was a wonderful experience doing that much work in such a short period of time. And yeah, I was exhausted, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And unfortunately, most people don't get anything like that kind of practice. They won't even, haven't even done 10 practice sessions or 15 or 20 practice sessions. So they're missing out on practice. What I do is I have a practice session on a Tuesday evening. A colleague of mine runs one on a Friday, and then once a fortnight, I give it my Saturday morning so that people can come in, like on Zoom, and we can do practice sessions. I also help them with business because a lot of therapists think that selling sometimes
It's not.
But it's not. Of course it's not. You're providing a service. And the problem is that every day there are new therapists coming into the marketplace. So if you don't tell people what you do, how can they find you? So I help the therapists get over that hump, of, or not just hypnotherapists, all kinds of therapists. I help them get over that hump. And then I show them techniques, tips, tricks on how to market themselves the better than they're doing now.
Wow. I want to circle back to the fact that you said you set up that program where you gather with your community and then just have that practice session. And then you did 160 sessions, 164 sessions, and that was you leading it, or you were participating in those sessions?
No, basically I asked for volunteer clients. So I was the therapist and then they were the clients. So I had 164 sessions with me as the therapist, with me as a hypnotist. Yeah.
And these are random people.
And none of these were all people that had done the training with the instructor. But as you may well be aware, Nick, a lot of people become therapists because they've got so many problems themselves in need resolving. And so they see it as free therapy,
Yeah, it's like a free therapy.
Which is great. So, I did a lot of work for people over that 2.5 months. Really, really good.
I love that. Wow. This is the first episode where we go straight into it without even, usually it's me introducing the guest, but you did the introduction. So thank you very much, Paul. But I'd like to take the listeners to trip down memory lane. Can you share with us, Paul, what was it like growing up as a Paul Wilson?
I didn't have a great childhood. Nothing traumatic, just, I was very sickly. I was ill all the time. I hated school. I had no friends, the usual kind of story. So growing up for me wasn't very pleasant, to be honest. Yeah. And I kind of left that world as soon as I could. And in the 80s, because I was born in the 60s, so in the 80s, I quit the UK and I spent the 80s traveling around Europe. So I was a ski bum. I'd work in ski resorts in the winter, and then I'd work along in beach resorts in the summer. And then in between times, I would hitchhike around. So, hitchhike all across Europe, and met lots of people, did amazing things, built it, knocked it down, painted it, scraped it, pushed it, pulled it, all kinds of odd jobs just in exchange for food or a place to sleep for the night. And then I would work, in bars, hotels, clubs, wherever, beaches, campsites, just for each particular season. And I did that for most of the 80s, came back to the UK in 88, 89, got kind of bummed around with a various couple of jobs, and then joined the corporate world in 92, and then spent 25 years in the corporate world, primarily as an emergency response manager. So I worked with the emergency services, the military, local authorities, looking at what could go wrong, trying to stop it going wrong, and then mitigating the consequences if something did go wrong. So, practicing the responses to emergency situations.
Wow. And was it because you mentioned that you had an accident, right? You fell off your bike, and that made you think, okay, perhaps this is a sign from the universe that it's time for me to pivot to a different path. Like, had you always had that thought, or did you have to wait for the universe to give you that nudge? Hi, I'm Nierras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
That is a really great question, Nick. And I've asked myself this a few times. And initially, I thought, no, it was the universe that sent me this message saying 25 years enough. But I spent some time a couple of years ago really kind of sitting down and thinking about this. And then I'd realized that somewhere in my journey in the corporate world, I'd said to myself, 25 years is about, is a quarter of a century. That's a really good number. It's a really good number to spend at an organization. So 25 years, cool. Any more than that, probably too much. And so I forgot all about that. And then the accident kind of prompted me to think about this. And also I've been transferred into a role that I wasn't really suited for, just the way things go, And I'd given it my best shot. So that was also part of the mix that after this accident made me question, should I stay or should I go?
Mm-hmm. And I can definitely resonate with that.
And yeah, then, the accident happened, and the coincidence of Nick walking past my office and me seeing him go, bang, time to go. They all kind of so the universe kind of, I'm guessing, put things together, aligned it for me, even though I'd thought about it way back when.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny, right? Because we always had that thought. When we put the thought into the universe always responds. And it's a matter of timing. And if your time is up, if you're not ready to take that leap yet, something will be done for you to jump.
I agree completely, but you have to be listening.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're not listening, then you've got no chance. Because the universe, your unconscious mind, your intuition, I think they're all kind of one thing. But if you're not open to listening to the messages that you send yourself, you stop sending yourself these messages. And I know this for a fact because for the longest time, I ignored my intuition. And then the last few years, I've started to reconnect. And now I'm finding the more I've reconnected, the more I'm getting messages. So like, should I do this? Should I go there? Should I, whatever? I'm getting really good intuitive messages back from the universe, whatever you want to call it. Say, yeah, go for it. Or, no, stay away from that.
I love that. This is a topic that's very close and dear to my heart. And also the impetus of my podcast, to be honest. You're worthless, but honestly, you're not. Because if you're here, then you matter. You are worthy. So, yes. So I want to take our listeners back to hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So, Paul, can you share with us, for those that's listening to this the first time, the term hypnosis, which I doubt it, but what is hypnosis? And is it true as what they depict on movies that you have no control over yourself? Yada, yada, yada.
That is a really, really fascinating question because scientists and people in the industry and other people have been debating this thing for centuries, for the longest time. I personally believe that hypnosis has been around far longer than anyone imagines because it might not have been called hypnosis, but there have always been people who've been very persuasive and have been able to help people see things differently. Now, I use conversational hypnosis, which means I'll come to the word trance in a minute. It means that I don't do the, relax, close your eyes, lie down, play music and, have some incense going. I don't do all that kind of stuff, yeah? I have a conversation with a client and that leads them to going to a place which helps them find the solutions to the problem, okay? So I think that kind of therapy has been around for the longest time. If you think of shaman, shaman have been around for forever, and they've had ways of helping people deal with physiological and psychological issues. There are so many stories of people having problems and they go and see the local witch doctor or the local shaman and they help them. without any drugs, with lots of placebos. I think the placebos have been around for far longer than we recognize as well. So what is hypnosis? It's a really good question. People say, no, well, you put me to sleep. It's not sleep, because when you go to sleep, you are, pretty much unconscious. You're zoned out to the world.
Yeah. But that's
For
what
me,
you think, but it's not.
For me, the best way to describe hypnosis is everybody has daydreamed, right? Everybody sat in their office or sat in the classroom or sat at home, and all of a sudden you kind of go, and you look at your watch or you look at the clock, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, half an hour has just suddenly disappeared. And you don't know where that time has gone because you were daydreaming. That to me is the closest we can describe the trance-like state. It's where your conscious mind, the bit that's listening to us now, the bit that's thinking about, well, what should I have for dinner tonight? Do I need to go shopping? Have I got to pick up the kids from school? All that kind of good stuff. That takes a break, takes a sidestep, and allows the unconscious mind, the real powerhouse of your brain, it allows the unconscious mind to come forward and step forward to be open to helping you fix whatever particular problem it is you need help with. And so the traditional style is, you kind of close your eyes, you do a relaxation process, and you do what's called deepness, which means, relax, relax, relax. You're going on a nice walk down some stairs, through a forest, along a beach, all that kind of good stuff. And then when the client is in that kind of space, the hypnotherapist then kind of makes suggestions as to why smoking is bad and why you should stop smoking, all that kind of good stuff, which is great. But from my perspective, a lot of that can take a lot of time, and there's no guarantee that the unconscious mind will accept the suggestions that you make, because it might be going, well, I really enjoy smoking. Yeah, I know it's evil. So what? I don't care. I just enjoy it. So from what I do is I help the unconscious mind find what we call the root cause. Why did you start this behavior in the first place? Or why did you stop doing that thing in the first place? And then we help unravel that situation, that scenario, remove all the emotional baggage that's associated with that, which then allows the unconscious mind to go, oh yeah, right, that happened there, but it doesn't really apply today. So we can actually stop doing that and take a different approach. And then the unconscious mind can see things differently and create its own solutions rather than me trying to impose a solution on the client. And that for me is the massive difference. And yeah, the client is aware of what's going on. Now, people say, no, stage hypnosis, Paul, they get people to do really stupid things. Yeah, this is a really big secret here, people, but the hypnotherapist isn't making you do things. He's giving you permission to let yourself loose. Because you've always wanted to get on stage and pretend you're Elvis Presley or Beyonce or whoever.
Exactly.
But you're too shy. You're too kind of
There's this limiting belief in your subconscious saying that you're not worthy of that. But
yeah, maybe it could be that. It's just, or you're too embarrassed, or people are going to laugh at me. So you go up on stage, and essentially the hypnotist puts you in a place where your inhibitions can take a side, can come to the front, and you can get on stage. You can be Beyonce. You can do silly things. You can talk with a different kind of voice, and you can do all kinds of wonderful things. But it comes from you. You have to be a very, very vulnerable person to have someone make you do things. And to be fair, you don't need hypnosis to make people do things if they're very vulnerable. They'll do it anyway. Look at cults, for example. Look at narcissists. Narcissists can make people do things when they're in a relationship they wouldn't necessarily do if they weren't in that relationship, simply by being very controlling. And the victim, if you like, is fully aware of what's going on. No hypnosis involved. Now, there are, you can make people do things. Governments around the world have spent a fortune on doing this, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy to do the mind control kind of thing. And we're not in that business. It's not my job to take over your mind. I just want to help you, get rid of the unwanted baggage. So if you stop smoking or lose weight or get rid of that depression or get, this block you've put in front, the procrastination, the overwhelm, overthinking, all that kind of good stuff, is to help you with that. I have no interest in making you quack like a duck. that costs extra.
Oh my God, Paul, you are funny. Well, thank you for that. I think you hit the nail in the head. And I would, yeah, because you kept on saying some of the issues, right? So what are right off the bat, what are the top 5 issues that people come to you to help
Okay, cool.
for your
Okay. Well, I generally work with business owners and high-level consultants, kind of 6-7 figure people, and they come to me for a variety of things.
imposter syndrome is being one of them?
No, that's really interesting. And this is kind of a side step. I'll come back to that in a second, yeah?
Right.
Procrastination, perfectionism, overwhelm. One of the big issues I get is a lot of people that I talk to, they don't do business by being on Facebook or LinkedIn. They go to big conferences, they go to big meetings, and they network. And the problem with that is a lot of these events they go to have lots and lots of free booze. And so it's very
Okay.
easy to embarrass yourself because of all the free booze around, especially if you get there at 10 in the morning and you're there till 1 o'clock in the, in the night, and you spend all day drinking. You can end up in a corner, you can be throwing up, you can be slurring your words. So it can damage your business. And what can happen is you shy away from going to these things for fear of embarrassing yourself. So I help a lot of people get control of their alcohol consumption. So we're not talking about alcoholics as such. It's about people that need help controlling their consumption, either
Yeah.
stopping or just bringing it right down to zero. And that's really, really easy to do. So that's one of the main things I do. But yeah, it's people overthinking, getting overwhelmed, putting all these mental blocks in the way. I don't deserve it. I can't do podcasts because I just look really awful on camera. My makeup isn't wet, my hair, my beard, my suit isn't smart enough. And I just can't do it. I just not with them. People are going to judge me. That's a big
Judge
one.
me.
But let's come back to imposter syndrome. I spent a year, slightly more than a year, with imposter syndrome as my main niche, my main way of helping people. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't make any money because the problem with imposter syndrome is it comes and goes. Yeah. People with imposter
Especially if
syndrome.
you're stepping into another level, another chapter of your life.
Yeah. So you might get a promotion and you might think, oh my God, I can't do it. I feel like a fake.
Yeah.
But after a week, it's gone. Or even after a day, it's gone because you just get in there and you don't have time to worry about being an imposter. You just got to get on with it. So imposter syndrome for a lot of people, it comes and goes. And it's only a big thing in the moment. Yeah. An hour later, a week later, a day later, the imposter syndrome has gone because you've just got to get on with it. And that's what tends to happen, which is why a lot of people didn't come to me for help with imposter syndrome because they didn't see it as a permanent thing. Like, drinking too much can be a permanent thing. Overwhelm, overthinking is a permanent thing. Procrastination, all that kind of good stuff. They are permanent. They don't come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So they're my top things. So all of the mental blocks that people put in front of themselves are what people come to me for help for.
Brilliant. And also, I just want to echo on that imposter syndrome. It is, I feel that, because I struggled with that before I just put myself out there, just start this podcast, and just start talking. And you are correct in the sense that it comes and goes, and especially, but if it stays, that means something is deeply rooted. Then that's where you have to unravel. Like, why do you feel like that?
Yeah, but like I say, imposter syndrome, it comes and it goes. And generally speaking, it's not a permanent thing, which is why I never made any money from it because people didn't want to pay to get it sorted. If you said, I'll do it for free, oh yeah, come and fix me for free, Paul. But, I've got to eat.
What about lack of self-confidence, Paul? It is also, it falls in the subset of imposter, I would say.
I have this thing that a lot of people disagree with. You don't need confidence. And I'll give you 3 really good examples of why you don't need confidence to do a thing.
Okay.
Have you got kids, Nick?
No, I would love to have them.
Do you know someone with kids? Do you know someone with kids? Right, okay. So you have a child, yeah? And, you have to carry it around everywhere. Then eventually it starts kind of doing the belly flop, and then it starts crawling, and then eventually starts doing what I call the sofa surf. So it kind of reaches up on hand over hand, kind of walks along the edge of the sofa. And the reason why it does that is sees these adults around, these big creatures, mummy, daddy, grandma, grandpa, the brothers and sisters, all walking around on 2 feet. So the baby, the infant, wants to be like the grown-up. So it starts, instinctively trying to walk. Now, what happens if she's walking along doing the sofa crawl and she slips and falls on her bum? She cries for a bit, but does she go, oh my God, I'm never going to crack this walking habit. I'm just going to give up and never will bother walking again. I'll just crawl around and shuffle on my bum. No. What does she do? She cries for a bit. Mummy comes, oh, it's okay, baby, puts the child back down again. And then the child gets up and carries on until there's that magnificent day where you're sitting watching TV or chatting with a friend or checking yourself on your phone. And out of the corner of your eye, you see the child walking, doddering on her own 2 feet. Did she need confidence to do that? Did she read a book about confidence? Did she watch a video about being confident? So that's my first example. Second example, okay, and there's a reason for these three, and I'll come back to them, yeah? Second example, a bicycle. First of all, most kids start on a tricycle, either with pedals on the front wheel or no pedals, just push themselves along with their feet, okay?
Yeah.
And then they go onto a proper bike, but with stabilizers. And they're wibbling and wobbling and rugging on the bike and all the rest of it, yeah? And they fall off, they cry, they scrape their knee. Mummy, daddy comes along, fixes the knee. It's okay, darling. The child gets up again, and off they go. And then we take off one stabilizer, so they're cycling around like this, on one side. Yeah. When the one with the stabilizer, occasionally they're upright, but most of the time they spend. And then the day comes, Nick, when we take off that second stabilizer, and the adult has you by the shoulders as you cycle, wibbling, wobbling, hold you on the shoulders, and they start to run, you start to cycle faster, and they let go. And you wibble, wobble, and suddenly you're cycling all by yourself independently. Did you need confidence? No. And the reason why, I'll come back to in a second. Yeah. Third one, can you drive a car?
Yes, that I can. I cannot ride a bike though.
That's a shame. I'll teach you.
I know, it is.
When you first got into a car for the first driving lesson, was it overwhelming? The steering wheel and I don't know if you're automatic or manual, but the indicators and the clutch and the mirrors, everything's really overwhelming, really scary. Yeah?
Yes.
Did you get out of the car and say, I'm never going to drive?
No.
Or did you sit in that car and take lessons? Did you stall the engine and feel frustrated, get upset, but then you went back for another lesson? Yeah?
Yes, for sure.
Until the day came, until you took your driving test, your driving exam. Boom. And you took it.
But I failed the first time, FYI.
So what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Now I've been driving for 14 years, so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is, did you need confidence, or did you just get in that bloody car and figure it out?
I just got in the bloody car.
Right. So, baby, bicycle, car. Do you know what the link is between the three? Why we don't need confidence? Nearly, we needed a compelling reason. The baby wants to walk because she wants to be like the grown-ups. The child wants to ride the bicycle because she wants to ride with her mates. She wants that independence to be able to go down the road to the park and go to her friend's house and all this kind of good stuff, yeah? She wants that freedom.
Yeah.
And why do we pass our driving test? Because we want to be free from the taxi of mum and dad. We want to be free from the hassles of public transport.
That's right.
We want our freedom and independence. So we needed that compelling reason. That's the first one. And the second one is practice. The baby just doesn't suddenly get up and walk. She crawls first. And then she kind of stands up and wibbles and does the sofa trot, or alongside the table. She practices and practices and practices. Riding a bicycle. We don't start riding on two wheels straight away. We start with a tricycle. or a little go-kart thing. And then we go on to 2 wheels with the stabilizers, then 2 wheels with this one stabilizer. And then, 2 wheels, no stabilizer, but somebody pushing on our shoulder, holding onto us with our shoulders so we stay upright. So
Mhm.
practice and the compelling reason. That's why you don't need confidence to do a thing. You need to know why you're doing the thing or why you want to do the thing and what makes it important to you. So, for example, say you want to do public speaking and I need confidence to do public speaking. Ask yourself, what's the reason you want to do public speaking? Have you got a
Speaking.
really important message you want to share with people? How
That's right.
important is that message? Then you say,
Yeah.
oh God, it's just really important. I want to help the world. I've got this message. I want to get it out there. I really need to share it with the world. So what do? You stand in front of the mirror. You get on podcasts. You go to small women's institute meetings. You go to local networking meetings. You don't just walk up first day onto a stage with 10,000 people. You build up to it. You practice. There's this mystique that we need to grab this confidence from somewhere. No, it's already here. Practice and the compelling reason. Once you've got those
Wow.
2 things, your confidence, you don't need it. And people
Practice
come
and
to
a
me and say,
compelling
Paul,
reason.
I need confidence. And I work with them, but I take them through that process we just discussed. You don't
Oh,
need
wow.
confidence. You need a compelling reason and you need to practice.
Compelling reasoning.
You need
Oh
to
my, Paul, you have just unlocked another, I think, achievement unlocked for me because I'm trying to figure out something because people come to me and say, Nick, how are you so confident speaking to people? Like, where are you getting all these people? Like, how do you do it? But coming back to it, it's just, I just put myself out there and I just start talking. Of course, the first few episodes of my podcast, the first 20 would have been, pardon my language, shit. But right now, just,
Yeah, but
just
go
last week,
back, Nick. Go back. You've been talking to
exactly,
people all your life. You've been
that's
having
true.
conversations with people all your life. And you have a reason for doing the podcast. You have a compelling reason. Yeah. And you've
That is
been
correct.
practicing. Yeah, the first few might have been shit, to use your words, but who cares? Because it's you putting yourself out there, you sharing that message. You had that compelling reason and you were willing to practice. Too many people, and I blame things like, these, or what's it called? A Star is Born and all the reality TV shows where people come up and sing and do magic. People imagine that this person comes up and sings a beautiful song, and that's the first time they've done it. They've become an overnight success. What they don't see is that person for the past 20 years has been singing in pubs and clubs where there's been the music playing in the background. People have been arguing, talking, ignoring them completely. They've been to karaoke nights. They have been practicing for years. Then they get the opportunity to do, The Voice or whatever. And that's their opportunity to stand in front of lots and lots of people. But they've been doing it for years. And that's what people don't see. Oh, God, how can I have the confidence to do that? Yes, because you haven't spent 20 years practicing.
That's
That's
correct.
why. And that's the big thing that people miss. Oh, look, they've just got a record contract. They're a waitress yesterday, and now they're a big pop star. No, they were
Yeah.
waitressing because that was supporting them with doing the gigs with the pub and the silly little band and all the other kinds of. They spent years and years and years and years, but people don't want to see that. That's why I want to go public speak. I want to go stand on this stage in front of 1,000 people, but I'm really nervous. I don't know how to do it. I'm scared. Of
And I
course,
need
you're going to be bloody.
confidence, Paul. Help
You
me.
need confidence. Well, get the bloody practice under your belt first. Then going onto a stage in front of 1,000 people won't be an issue.
Wow. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you. I needed that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, Paul, why do you hate the phrase self-sabotage? Becoming a podcast host was a natural extension of my second act. And after spending 15 years in the corporate world, I've transitioned to helping individuals overcome challenges like navigating tough relationships, career burnout, and aligning their mission with their soul's calling. By certifying as an RTT hypnotherapist and a lifestyle coach, I've made it my mission to empower people to recreate the life they deserve and building a supportive community through my podcast. Now, let me ask, are you facing challenges like struggling to reprogram your mind to attract wealth, weight issues that feel like a constant yo-yo, insomnia or restless nights from daily worries, or just a lack of confidence in public speaking? If the answer is yes, visit www.thenierrasholisticlifestyle.com and grab a free hypnosis audio of these common struggles. It's a sneak peek into how my coaching works. Are you feeling shy? Don't be, because I'm as real as it gets. Let's connect on Instagram and LinkedIn and start your transformation today.
Don't get me started. How long have you got? Okay. Right. Sabotage means that you go back to any kind of war and you have the resistance. The resistance blow up train tracks, blow up bridges. They do everything to stop the enemy advancing. Okay. It's a deliberate intervention to stop something happening violently, going against something.
Against the current.
Yeah. Your brain doesn't sabotage you. Your brain has one function: to keep you alive so that you can procreate and extend the species. That's it. Now, what happens is people think we're very sophisticated creatures with all these big skyscrapers and we put people in the moon. No, because we still have the fear of saber-toothed tigers. We've got these behaviors: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Okay, so imagine you go back to, the days when we lived in caves, yeah? And yeah, behind every bush, there may have been a tiger or a leopard or a snake or enemy, tribes, people that wanted you out of their territory. And so you had 4 options to deal with that. So if a lion came towards you, you could fight it. You and your friends had some sharp sticks and throw stones, so you could fight. You could try and run away because, if you can run fast, maybe you can outrun the lion. Unlikely, but, what? You can freeze. You can play dead, hoping that it doesn't realize you're a living object and a nice meal. Or you can fawn. Oh, who's a pretty little lion? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're such a sweet lion. Yes, you can have me for lunch. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Come on, take my arm. It's okay. And we've carried those behaviors with us into today. So imagine 10 years ago, you're in an office and you've screwed up, okay? The boss calls you in and the boss really has a go at you. You've got 4 options. You can stand there and fight and argue
Take
back.
it.
No, I didn't. I did the best I could. You can fight. You can freeze. Grabbing the headlights while she's shouting at you. You can run away. Screw you. Slam the door and storm off. Or you go, I'm really sorry, boss. I didn't mean it. I'm so, yeah, you're so right. So, yeah, I'm horrible. I'm useless. I'm hopeless. So that happened. Okay. Saber-toothed tiger attack 10 years ago. And so your brain goes, oh my God, that was so scary. That was terrifying. We do not want to do that again because we could have died. Okay. So leap forward now. And every time you're in a situation where you might have to stand up for yourself or be confronted with some difficult issue with a person, you avoid it. You don't go for promotions. You become the quiet little mouse in the corner. You don't put your head above the parapet. You do everything, and you keep because and so what happens is our brain is protecting us. It helps us to avoid those potential scenarios which may cause us harm because of that thing that happened 10 years ago. So it's protecting you, okay? Because it thinks that going to see your boss 10 years later to, stand up for yourself is going to have a repeat performance of what happened when you got chewed out. So we avoid all kinds of similar situations. And where I come in is the client comes to me and goes, Paul, you know what? There's this promotion and I really want to go for it, but I just can't. And I don't know why, because most of us, we forget that thing that happened 10 years ago. It's just, just gets put in the back with all the other memories. But for the unconscious mind, it's still mega. Yeah, but for the conscious mind, we've forgotten. We're just getting on with our day. We don't know that that's what's holding us back. So people come to me and go, Paul, you know what? Excuse me, I really want this promotion, but I'm scared. I don't want to go for it. And so what I do is I help them find the root cause of what's stopping them from going for that promotion. What's the real issue here? And we go on a journey, a bit like explorers, and we find this event that happened 10 years ago. And yeah, okay, it was a nasty, scary event, but you didn't die. Yeah, and there were circumstances that led to that event. And I work with the unconscious mind to get to see that, yes, it wasn't a nice thing. It was quite unpleasant, but it wasn't life-threatening. It wasn't a saber-toothed tiger. It wasn't a mammoth. It wasn't a lion, you know. And so we get it to understand that. Exactly. We get it to understand that, yeah, it wasn't a good event, but that doesn't mean to say that when we go for this promotion, we're going to have a similar event. We get it to accept and change its perspective and to drop all of that baggage, and it then allows the unconscious mind to come up with its own solution to move forward.
Wow, Paul, I love the explanation. Thank you so much. I think this has been, if not the most insightful episode I've ever recorded so far.
Thank you.
Paul, okay. I have a few more questions before I can let you go. So,
sure, no problem.
What is the Devil's Triangle?
Devil's Triangle. You have done your research. I love this. So imagine a triangle. So you're scary music in the background. And then out of the darkness comes this triangle, and the triangle's on fire. Yeah. Burning. Okay. And you've got the devil's face inside. And at the top of this triangle, you've got procrastination. And the bottom left-hand side, you've got overwhelm and overthinking. And on the right-hand side, you've got perfectionism. And in the middle of the triangle, you've got all of these, I don't deserve it. They will judge me. Imposter syndrome. All the things we've been talking about. But all the main three are what cause all of that stuff inside. And it's just a very graphic way for me to talk to people about the big three, paralysis or overwhelm, procrastination, and perfectionism. Because from my perspective, they're all the same thing, just spelt differently. All putting off the thing that we should be doing for whatever particular reason. And my job is to help the client figure out what is really going on. What's making us procrastinate? What's so scary about getting this thing done? What is it about perfectionism? What is so scary about getting this thing done that you can't do it because there's a typo or the picture isn't exactly right? How come we're overthinking this thing so much that it's actually stopping us, paralyzing us from moving forward? I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too black. I'm too white. I'm too wide. I'm too thin. I wear glasses. I don't wear glasses. I've got a beard. I haven't got a beard. I'm wearing a hat. I shouldn't wear a hat. All this stuff that people start to believe, all these fake beliefs that people put in their heads that stop them moving forward with their lives. And my job is to help them get rid of all that crap and figure out where this is coming from. What's the origin story behind all this stuff? And what is it they really want to do?
So it's procrastination, overwhelm, and perfectionism.
Yeah, the big three.
The big
and
three.
All that stuff in the middle of the triangle there.
So whenever I feel like putting off my editing of my podcast episode, such as this one, then it is just something that
There's a very simple question you can ask yourself, and it's a bizarre question. What is the benefit, or what am I getting out of not editing this episode? And you go, oh, no, that's ridiculous. But actually, no. You ask yourself that question a few times. Well, I'm not really good at editing. I might screw it up, or I might miss a good bit, or it takes too much time. I've got this other thing to do. And you'll figure out exactly what it is that's stopping you from just putting some time in your calendar and editing the episode.
I love it. So it's like you're prodding until the core. And then once you face it, you just have to get up and start editing. Sit in front of your laptop.
Well, once you've identified it, you can then deal with the problem. Okay, so I'm not good at editing. So what can I do about that? Okay, well, I can hire someone, but I can't really afford to hire someone. Okay, well, I could just not edit. Okay,
Yeah.
that's another option.
Yeah.
Or I could practice.
I
I
could
could just
practice.
take
I
this
could just,
episode, make 10 copies, and then just, this weekend I've got nothing planned, so I'm going to spend the weekend practicing editing. So we can then look at, so that's the reason I'm procrastinating over this. That's why I'm not getting the editing done. So what could then are the solutions? So you find the problem. Yeah, I'm not very good at editing. Now we then find solutions, and then we can actually get it done. Because then now you found a solution, you just go and pick one of the solutions and get on with it.
woo! I love it. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
So, Paul, what work are you most proud of so far?
That's a very difficult question because every client I work with is unique. They have a unique set of circumstances. They have a unique issue. Even if there's 10 people come to me because they're drinking too much, they come to me, they're drinking too much for 10 different reasons. And so everyone's different. So I just love what I do. I really, really love my work and I love what I do. I love the coaching aspect of things. I love the hypnosis side of things. So I can't really say that I'm proud of this particular thing because I just love all of my work. Not one. I mean, yeah, I've done some sessions with clients where it's taken 15 minutes. Others have taken 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, but they're all really great for different reasons.
What a brilliant answer. What are you working on currently?
Okay, I'm creating a new training course for the conversational hypnosis, which I'll probably be putting out, running in April or May 2025. That's one thing. And I'm also creating some lead magnets, so marketing assets, to attract more potential clients. They're the two main things that I'm working on. Oh, yeah. And the other thing I'm going to be doing shortly is I've got a YouTube channel already for kind of my hypnotherapy business side of things, but I'm also going to be starting a YouTube channel for, how can I put it? Basically, free hypnosis tracks.
Wow.
So relaxation,
like a
visualization, meditation.
self-guided
Self-guided.
hypnosis. Yeah. Brilliant. I can see that this is play for you. This is not work.
Absolutely.
You're in the
you're
genius,
completely right.
in your genius zone every moment, and that's where we all should strive to be.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I found it, quite late in life, but if you don't look, you don't
It's
find.
never late. Yeah.
That's the important thing. If you don't look, you don't find. If you don't make the effort, you never. The one word for me for throughout life that I picked up kind of quite late in life is experiment. Treat your life like an experiment. Because if you do that, you can do lots of different things. And it doesn't matter what the result is.
I'm
because
a living example of that.
Yeah, that's in me too.
Yeah.
I've done lots of different things. And, some really good results, some really bad results. But I've done a lot of different things. But if you get stuck in your ways, you don't experience new things. You don't meet new people. You don't have new tastes. You don't, read great new books. You miss out on so much if you don't experiment. Because we're only, as far as we know, we're only here once. So why be stuck in a routine like a robot? You go to a factory, an automated factory, and you'll see all these robots doing exactly the same function, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You are not a robot. So why are you acting like one?
Like one.
Go out and have fun and do different things, because that's how you'll find the thing that you really enjoy that actually isn't work anymore. And that's what I've done. For the past 6 years, I've been doing something that for me isn't work. I just love it so much. But it's taken me 57 years of doing different things to stumble across it. Don't let it take you 57 years, but you've got to experiment. You've got to do different things. You've got to expand your comfort zone. Not step out of your... If you step out of your comfort zone, if you like, yeah, all right, okay, I'm in a room now, so I can leave the room and I leave everything in the room behind and I go to a different room. But if I expand my comfort zone, I'm taking my new experiences and they're entering my comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not on the edge of here, left outside. Yeah, integrating it. I'm expanding my comfort zone. Yeah. I'm expanding my experience. I'm expanding my knowledge. I'm expanding my understanding.
And at the same time, your portfolio. of knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Such an inspiration, Paul. Thank you for the work that you do.
Oh,
Okay,
thank
Paul,
you.
we're going to pivot to a self-worth question because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. So the question for you, Paul, how does the process of self-discovery and building self-worth differ for introverts and extroverts? And what unique challenges might each face?
That's an interesting question. From my perspective, it's the same. Again, if you want to stay stuck, stay stuck. That's fine. I'm not going to judge you because you don't want to do things differently. That's your choice. It's your life. But if you want to grow your self-esteem, if you want to grow your self-belief, if you want to improve your self-worth, it starts in here. There's a brilliant phrase that, I am more than enough. Not I am enough, because I'm enough is like, well, I'm here, boring.
Bare
I
money
am
film.
more than enough. Yeah. I have it on my mirror in my bathroom. I have it written out in pen on my bathroom mirror. I am more than enough. And there's another thing that you can do. You brush your teeth twice a day. When you go and brush your teeth, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your left eye. Focus on your left eye and go, I love you. I love myself. I love myself. Say that 10 times, morning and night. I love myself. I love myself. Love myself. And it makes you smile.
Yeah.
I love myself. I am more than enough. And I love myself. Two very, very simple acts, if you like, to help you start to grow your self-belief. But you can believe in yourself right now, right in this moment. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't matter what your problems are. I am worthy. I deserve whatever it is. I deserve more. I deserve this. Now, if you say, well, I don't deserve this, I disagree. If you're stuck in a difficult situation, you have to do this one thing that most people on the planet don't want to do. You have to take responsibility. You are where you are right now because of every single decision you made up until this moment in time. If you're with a boyfriend who hurts you, I'm really sorry. You chose to be with that person. The first time he hit you, you chose to overlook it. Yeah? You chose, he was drunk, he was angry, whatever. Bollocks. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. Excuse my language. Yeah, it's really important. You are choosing to stay with that person.
That is right.
I had a podcast. I did about 90 episodes, and I spoke to a lot of women who'd been to hell and back. And there's one lady that comes to mind. She was been in 2 or 3 abusive relationships. The third relationship was just absolutely terrifying. And so one day she plucked up the courage. She put some clothes in her shopping bag. She grabbed her 2 kids and she walked out of their home, with no money. The next 3-4 years were extremely difficult for her and the 2 kids, women's shelters, all that kind of thing. But now she travels the world and she's got 3 very, very successful businesses because she made the decision that, she was worthy of more and she didn't deserve that crap, that she had to move out and take action. But she took action. And yes, it wasn't easy. I'm not saying, the Prince Charming came along and whisked her off in a golden coach. No, she suffered really hard times for a few years, but those hard times helped her figure out where she wanted to be in life and to get away from that dangerous environment to set her free. Sometimes we need to make very difficult decisions, but it's your choice. If you don't want to make the difficult decision, then you have to accept that you are where you are because you've chosen to be where you are. Unless you are physically chained to the radiator and you cannot escape, you are choosing to stay why. Well, I've got no money. I've got no friends. Doesn't matter. There are people out there. There are organizations out there that will help you. Yeah. So it's not an excuse. And that's the same for anyone. If you're in a dull, boring job and you hate it, you hate your life, change it. Make the decision to figure out what it is, what you want. If you don't know what you want, just go and do something else. Keep doing different things until they find the thing that really stimulates you, that really excites you.
Thank you, Paul. This became a therapy and a coaching session for me, and I hope for the listeners too. Paul, what is your heart's greatest wish?
I don't have one. I have, goals and plans which I'm working towards, but I don't have a greatest wish as such, because peace on earth and all that kind of stuff. It's very wishy-washy and isn't going to happen, because whilst humans exist on earth, we are what we are. So I don't have a greatest wish. I've got goals, I've got plans of things that I'm putting into practice that I want to do. And I wish they would happen a bit faster, but that's just the way of things.
Well, thank you for being candid. I love that. There's no right or wrong answer for that one. So, Paul, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
Okay. Your mind is often the last thing on your mind. I'll say that again.
I saw that.
Your mind is often the last thing on your mind. Meaning, we don't think about this. We don't think about making changes. We don't think about training it, working with it. If you want to get big biceps, you go to the gym and you do exercises. Yeah. It's the same with this. If you don't like what's going on in here, change it. And before you say, no, you can't change it, it's not possible. Science has proven that you can rewire your brain. It's all about neuroplasticity. But you have to go out there and do the work.
Yeah. Preach, Paul, preach. I love it. So, Paul, how can people reach out to you?
I'm all over social media, but the best place to get me is my website, which is ahappyhead.co.uk. So a happy head, which is all one word, dots.
I love that. A happy head. That's your head.
That's what I do. I want people to have a happy head.
I love it. And there you have it, guys. You heard it from the person himself, Paul Wilson. Before we close off, Paul, I'd like to thank you personally for the work you're doing for the world and for advancing every step of the way, despite the challenges, creating trails for those that will come after you. And for our listeners, this has been that one podcast with that controversial name, You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you find yourself thinking that you are worthless, you're probably not alone. But more importantly, ask yourself a level deeper. If I'm worthless, then why the heck am I here? It is because your soul have chosen to be here energetically, and that is all the way from the ethers. And for that reason itself, you are worthy and you are enough. This has been Paul Wilson, your guest of the day, and Nick Nierras, your host, signing off. Thank you so much, Paul, for your time.
My pleasure. Bye-bye, folks. Nice to be here. Thank you.